Hi everyone, and welcome back to Extra Blue. I hope you're all enjoying your summer so far. I am reporting to you from Minneapolis, where I am summer training with Team Berkey. And unfortunately, we are dealing with some air quality issues due to the wildfires in Canada. And that, compiled with the heat and the humidity, definitely have me dreaming for some extra blue days coming this winter. That being said, I am here putting in the work, stacking the bricks, and finding indoor training options when necessary, and making sure that I'm well hydrated for those thick and humid days out here in the Midwest. I am excited to share with you that this launch of ExtraBlue 2.0 is now powered by Gear West Ski and Bike Shop. Gear West has been a longtime partner of mine, and I am honored to have them sign on as the official sponsor of ExtraBlue. Winter, summer, no matter the season, Gear West has my back to cover all of my gear needs as an athlete, and I am grateful for their support as we build into this high-energy Olympic year. There's a lot to be excited about, and Gear West has me covered. If you are interested in following along in these conversations through ExtraBlue with some video, you can do so now on Gear West's YouTube channel at Gear West. If you are here purely for the audio, then you can continue to find these episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is powered by Gear West, a specialty sports campus which has supported and inspired me for years. If you're near Minneapolis, their incredible 25,000 square foot store is just about 5 minutes west of Ridgedale and offers the largest Nordic selection in the country. And no matter where you are, their website is a fantastic resource for learning, motivation, and the gear. Everything you need to chase your goals in Nordic and alpine skiing, biking, running, and all kinds of cross training. Check out gearwest.com. I am super grateful to have their support. On this episode of Extra Blue, I welcome Margie Freed. Margie is a Minnesota native graduating from Eastview High School in 2016. As a junior, Margie trained with Loppet Nordic Racing and then went on to race in college at the University of Vermont, where we overlapped for 2 years, which was super fun. In 2020, Margie joined the Green Racing Project out of Craftsbury, Vermont, and has been racing with the GRP ever since. Over the years, she has gone from a frequent member of Super Tour podiums to dabbling with biathlon to now racing World Cups with the U.S. National Biathlon team. In this episode, Margie and I sit down to chat about how and why she first picked up a rifle and what it's been like to pick up a new sport, hobby, career, dream in her 20s, and how she's preparing for the Olympic year as a professional biathlete now. We also talk about the ski community and how she has taken her Minnesota roots and transferred them to the bustling and supportive community in Craftsbury, Vermont. I hope you enjoy this episode with Margie Freed. Hello, Margie Freed. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to beat the heat, so staying inside and loving life in Vermont.
All right. Well, you are my first episode that I am recording video with, and so apologies in advance for any technical difficulties that might come up. But I appreciate you being here, and I'm excited to have you on the podcast. This is the first Extra Blue episode of this kind of new version of Extra Blue. So I'm excited to work with Gear West on presenting it to everyone. But I guess let's just dive into it. I'm excited to chat with you today. So, did you have training today?
I did have training. I did some classic skiing with speeds, and before that, I did a little bit of shooting practice with combos where it's skiing and shooting at the same time.
Okay, we are going to dive into this with biathlon, all the things that you're doing with biathlon, but you did shooting practice plus classic skiing. How often does that happen?
Not as often as I'd wish. I, unfortunately, as a biathlete, like classic skiing still more than skate skiing,
Yeah.
but biathlon is really good for improving my skate skiing abilities. So the classic skiing doesn't happen all that often. Usually only once a week do I get to classic ski, but I really enjoy it when I do.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's fun. And it went well today, despite the heat?
It did. Yes, yeah, it went well. The, college U23 program joined us for our speeds, and so I was able to get thrashed around by some college kids, so that was pretty fun.
Nice. They still have so much fast twitch at that age. It makes me jealous.
Yes.
That's fun. Can you share with everyone where you are in the world right now?
I am in Craftsbury, Vermont, and I base out of the Craftsbury Outdoor Center, and so it's in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, and I am part of the Green Racing Project.
And how are things going in Craftsbury so far this summer?
They're good. The team is there's a lot of new young energy, with the ski team gaining a lot of new people that just graduated college. So that's always fun to have, some young energy, and so we're working hard and we're getting after it.
Yeah, how is it having all of those young athletes join the team? Does it feel like there's been a switch in kind of the energy and like atmosphere, or does it feel like it's just the same old with some new faces?
Definitely the lifestyle is kind of the same, which is good, so it keeps things consistent for me, but the energy is different, and so, like, there's been a shift from when I first joined, the Craftsbury team. There's a lot more emphasis on baking and doing some maybe more wholesome activities, and then now, there's a lot of new boys that join the team that, like to watch YouTube videos.
Okay.
They like to watch, like, outdoor challenge YouTube videos, so that's been something that I, have, grown to enjoy a little bit, and so, it's definitely fun to get introduced to these different ways of life.
Yeah, a different era, different generation. Are you considered millennial, or are you Gen Z?
I am kind of on the border.
Okay.
I think like the Gen Zs say
Yeah.
that I'm a millennial and the millennials say I'm Gen Z. So
You're stuck in the middle.
like I do scroll TikTok, but then I also have watched like all the early 2000s like movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
um I'm kind of in a little no man's land, but that's
Yeah.
okay. Then I can fit in with anybody.
Yeah, you can just mold to the whoever's around.
hmm
Okay, you talked about the lifestyle has kind of changed or has stayed the same, which is great. What is the Craftsberry lifestyle like in the summertime? What's the community like there? And kind of what's the day to day look like for Margie Freed?
Yeah, the day-to-day it's been pretty much the same, all my years here, where it's training in the morning, then in the afternoon, there's a little bit of downtime, but then also getting after some coaching or helping out around the center. We do some, like, volunteer projects to cover, some of the costs that the team provides for us, and so, yeah, that can look like anything from trail work to coaching, and I've really liked working with people and of any age group, so I'll work with the kids camps during the day, and then at night I'll like lead a fitness class, which I really enjoy getting to meet the local community that's not necessarily in the ski world
Mhm.
because it's a general community fitness class. And so there's a lot of different cool people that I get to meet around the center that are very community minded and look out for each other.
Yeah. I feel like what's really cool about Craftsberry is that it is so integrated into the community. And I think that a lot of folks who travel to Craftsberry for, maybe it's the Craftsberry Marathon or they go there simply for a super tour or spring series, or they are there for a very short amount of time. And all they really see is the center and the skiers at the center. And maybe they see a groomer, and that's really it. And I feel like there's so much more to Craftsberry Outdoor Center than just that. And um, particularly, I feel like it really comes out in the summertime with all of the summer camps that Craftsberry hosts and the gardening and just different events and stuff. So can you kind of explain a little bit more about what that looks like and what some folks who come for a weekend in January might miss when like they don't necessarily see the behind the scenes what Craftsbury can be beyond a ski weekend.
Yeah, the like I was saying before, the community is really awesome, and there's a lot of weekly events that Craftsbury hosts. So there's like a Tuesday night race that a lot of the local people will just jump in, and they get their kids involved, and it's been cool to see the kids like grow up each year a little bit more and get more involved with the activities. Whether it's like they start off as like the little what we call catamounts skiing around in the winter, or basically just trying to stay up on skis, and then we see them progress into like a BKL and junior level, which has been cool to like see these kids grow up and kind of be a part of their lives a little bit. And then also the parents are doing the fitness classes, they're doing the craft fit classes, they are joining in on the mountain bike clinics that we put on. So being a part of this community and yeah, helping out where I can and being a positive role model for a lot of these families who are just used to like seeing elite athletes around. It
Yeah.
is cool to kind of feel like I'm more than just an athlete in that sense, because they're so used to seeing us all the time. It's not like, oh, that they're like these special people. And it's like, no, we're just kind of doing our day to day lives and trying to fit in. Um, and even the people who work at the center, it's been cool to get to know them, especially on the maintenance team. I've learned a lot from those guys, and so they'll be the ones in the groomers during the winter, ramming around in the groomer. But then during the summer, I've learned how to use a chainsaw and change my own oil in my car from them.
Nice.
So I've really enjoyed like how willing to help all the people are around here.
Yeah. Major life skills. You provide a ski clinic or a fitness class, and they teach you how to change your oil in your car or put
Right.
laundry.
Who knew you could do that by yourself?
Yeah.
But, um,
I still
yeah,
can't.
it's pretty awesome to feel, like, a little more like I can do stuff for myself, and I don't just have to take my car to the shop, I can try and figure it out. Same with my bike. I've had
Yeah.
to learn a lot about, bike maintenance,
Yeah.
but I have the ability and I have the, like, resources to be able to have people to learn from, and also YouTube videos
Oh,
to
yeah. Young
learn
boys.
about things from YouTube videos.
Definitely do that. Awesome. That's super cool. Have you done any work hours for today yet, or do you have some planned for later?
That right now there is a, I think it's U23 or U13
Oh,
biathlon camp. So we're getting the kids early, and so it's pretty fun to because I was a beginner in biathlon just a couple years ago, so I kind of understand where they're at a little bit when they have no idea what they're doing. This is like a super intro level, but then there's also some of the kids that have been coming to Craftsbury Biathlon and some that come from farther away and don't know anything.
yeah.
So I'm helping out teaching them the skills there.
Yeah, very fun. Cool to give back and also fun that you are kind of in a way like more closely related to those beginners because you recently went through that beginner phase and you made some pretty extreme progress, which is super cool. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But it's kind of cool that you can like bond with those kids, say like, yeah, this was new to me 2 years ago also, or whenever it was. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool to I've been really grateful to have the, like, learning from 0 to where I am now. It's
Yeah.
been really awesome to learn a new skill.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna rewind things and talk about the beginning of Margie Freed's skiing career, and then we will go into biathlon as well. But I was trying to think of the first time I met you, and I want to say it was at a Midwest Junior Nationals, or we were at Junior Nationals representing the Midwest, but I couldn't remember which Junior National trip it was. Do you remember what your first trip was?
My first one was, in Fairbanks,
Oh,
and I I think I wanna say it was, like, 2013 maybe?
yeah,
Um,
that's probably right. Yeah.
yeah, and I remember that you had done really well in some race, and our chef or whoever was cooking for us said that, like, if anyone had won a race, they got
Oh yeah,
to eat whatever they wanted for dinner, and it was I think it was you and maybe Ian Torchia,
you're right.
um, a asked for steak for your, like, special meal dinner.
Okay, I
So
think Ian
that's my
actually
first memory of you.
played. That's fun. Yeah, that was such a fun trip though, and yeah, it was cool that Ian and I had good races on the same day. But I'm pretty sure Ian was the one who asked for steak. I don't, but I
Okay.
do recall that whoever the chef was, I think he was from Sun Valley. He was awesome. He was like, and I think it was like, if it's your birthday, I'll make whatever you want. But then there were like 12 kids who had a birthday that week, and he was like, wait, just kidding, I don't know. Yeah, okay, but that was fun. What was it like, going to that first junior nationals in Fairbanks, Alaska? Like, that's kind of crazy to go all the way up there as a young athlete.
Yeah, I was really scared, honestly. I didn't do any like summer I didn't know any of the people from summer training. I hadn't really gotten into that as a skier. I mostly just did like the school team. And so I was basically going to Alaska with people I didn't know. And my parents like to joke about this still that when we were on the way to the airport, I had asked them, "Is it too late to turn around?"
Oh my
Because I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. But my high school coach had encouraged me to do. My high school coach Brian Avery encouraged me to do the J and Q's like qualifier races, and so I kind of slipped in last minute and got onto the team as like the last like alternate spot, but I had made it. And so once I was there, it was pretty sweet to meet especially the other girls like my age and connect with them. And then we kind of became friends from there. That was the first time had also met Michaela Keller Miller, who is now my teammate at Craftsbury. So that's kind of full circle for us.
Yeah,
We kind of started our more high level ski racing careers together, and then now we're here so many years later. And so it was a really great way to like foster those early connections in the ski world and just see how like great everyone is. And yeah, so I had a lot of fun doing that.
nice. Yeah, and where did you go to high school?
I went to Eastview High School in Apple Valley, Minnesota.
Okay. And you said that you had not been training with like a summer program or anything until that point, but as I recall, you did then join a team after that. What were you with L&R then?
Yeah, I did Minnesota Valley
Oh, right.
skiing, which then turned
Talk to me
into
about
LNR. And one of my first coaches through Minnesota Valley was Caitlin Gregg, and at the time she was Caitlin Compton. So it was cool to see then kind of get coached by her throughout the years of high school, and
yeah.
so I had a lot of fun there.
Yeah. And how do you feel like you were able to balance kind of that mix of Minnesota high school skiing with junior national qualifying races and going to JNs at the end of the season? What did that look like for you?
It definitely was kind of all over the place, just because I had a really great group of girls to ski with in high school, and I've still stayed friends with a lot of them now, which is pretty awesome. And then I also had this like LNR group of ski friends. So I was, kind of balancing a lot there. But I mostly, once I kind of got into the ski training and racing, then I did that mostly through the summer and then pivoted to cross country running during the fall, during the school year. And then I would go back to skiing and be able to ski with my high school team, and then on the weekends, a couple of us would go and travel to the J&Q races, wherever it was, if it was northern Minnesota or in Wisconsin. We had our fun little weekend getaways. And so I think that kind of fostered my love for skiing and the community around skiing, because I had this fun group of people to travel with. And it was more focused on the friendship and, oh, we're going on a little weekend trip rather than doing these races and kind of being forced to do these races by myself. I was
Yeah.
really happy to have people to suffer through them with.
Yeah. I feel like we have a very similar kind of path that we took in high school where we were running on top of ski racing. So we did cross country and track in the fall and the spring. And then in the summertime, we would train with a ski club. I was with Minneapolis Ski Club, you were with LNR, but we were able to form these relationships with athletes from other schools around the Twin Cities and people who we wouldn't necessarily meet or chat with or become friends with if we were just racing in the winter. But then when we got to the winter time, we had these incredible high school teams that we also could work with and wanted to work with because they had we had friends on the team, we had great coaches with the team, and there are so many, like, I have so many fond memories of ski racing with my high school team and ski racing, with my club or representing my club on the weekends, and traveling to different places throughout the Midwest with my club, or going to junior nationals with like the greater Midwest community. And I wouldn't want to have to pick one or the other because I have such great memories of both of those. And so I feel like even though it is a challenge to balance that high school league ski racing and the JNQs and your club racing and everything like that, I really don't know if I could like go back and pick one that I want to solely focus on.
Right. I think it seems like it worked out for both of us, and I think that having those, like, positive memories really helped us, like, yeah, create that community, and then seeing some of the athletes that, I skied with in one area of it and didn't have as good of an experience there, even though they, like, could have kept going and found a lot of joy in it. That's kind of when they were done with skiing just because it was they didn't have as awesome of a community and like different ways to find the joy in it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, it worked out for us. That's awesome. And I'm really grateful for that. And it was super fun then that our paths overlapped again when you came to visit University of Vermont, which is where I was attending college. And I still remember when you came to visit, but can you share a little bit about what that visit was like in your mind? What were your first impressions of UVM? And what kind of pros and cons were you weighing in your head? What other colleges had you been looking at the time?
Yeah, I kind of got into visiting UVM a little bit late in my senior year of high school. I remember it was I was there April 1st of my senior year of college. So it was most of like people had kind of decided where they wanted to go, but I somehow just had decided, oh, I'll like email UVM, even though I knew it was a really good team and would be hard for me to get onto. I figured I'll give it one last shot and reach out to them. And so I emailed Patrick Weaver and he said, yeah, come for a visit. And so I remember going out to American Flatbread in downtown Burlington with you and a couple other people on the team. And I definitely was intimidated, but I had a lot of fun. And then I didn't end up going, but I heard about how the team was going down to the beach that night and gonna
Oh,
go have some fun there. And so I was like, oh, they do fun things outside of skiing. And I stayed with, I like slept on Matty Watts's floor.
oh, right.
And I'd known her from JN's racing. And I was like, from West, but it was like, okay, I will know on the team if I ended up going there. And I realized that I wanted a good balance of skiing and academics and a social like life or like a cool city to go to college in. And so that's why I chose UVM. I was also looking at UNH in New Hampshire and then a couple of schools in the Midwest. But I figured I had already done enough racing in the Midwest, and I was encouraged to try new things during college, and I could always leave if I wanted to. So I kind of used that as my safety net. That was like I can always change if I don't like it. So I ended up going from not really knowing where Vermont was in the country to moving there, and now I've been here for I think almost 10 years. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I've really grown to love Vermont after a while.
Yeah. We have so many things in common, Margie.
I
Midwest girls who love
was just following you around.
Vermont. Well, so how did that first year in college go for you? What were some of the highlights? What did you have any hiccups or like challenges that you weren't necessarily expecting that first year in school?
Yeah, I again I was blessed with a great group of people who were kind of like my age and coming into the UVM ski team with me. And so we kind of lived in the dorm right next to each other. And I was able to kind of navigate the early college life with them. And so I really like that part of it. Like having that great community is just like really set me up for uh, success in my ski career. And I found that the school was like the right amount of challenging. I obviously had some classes that I just had to like take because I needed to, and then I was able to, once I could do some more like interactive things, I studied business, and so there was some nice flexibility there with that school and being able to race and not miss too many classes because we were gone on Fridays. Um, and some things I really remember were our like weekend skis where we got bagels afterwards. And so now whenever I get bagels, I especially in Vermont, I like remember those awesome skis, those distance workouts where they're such a grind, but then after I was doing it for the bagel. And so there it was the little things that kept me going.
Yeah. I remember, so for listeners, Margie came to UVM. She was a freshman when I was a junior, and the class that you came in with was, I think there were like 7 of you or something, like men and women together. There were maybe 7 of you, and
Mhm.
the team is around 14, and so that's half of the team were freshmen that year. So it was a lot of young
Yep.
energy, a lot of excitement, which was really fun to have around. And I had a blast, like being kind of, an upperclassman who got to show you guys around. I had so much fun being able to show off Burlington, show off UVM to you all, and I just loved that you guys all were falling in love with it as much as I had. So that was just a really fun time, I feel like, to be in college and with the team. And I feel like there was just like such good energy, and everyone was just like having a blast the entire time. So it was fun to have all of the freshmen around, and some really fast freshmen too. So uh I feel like you had such a great college career, but I do know that there were maybe some moments in there where there were some hiccups, both with um, the world shutting down towards the end of your college career. And I know that you had also kind of struggled with some anemia throughout that. So, can you kind of just speak to what that college career looked like in your mind? What were some of the highs? What really stands out as like this was a moment that I loved and will always remember? And then what were some of the moments that were more challenging for you to either balance or navigate because of all of that?
Mhm. Yeah, first of all, it was, like, super awesome to come in to school with so many freshmen, so it was all we all didn't really know what was going on, so, I really enjoyed that,
Bless
even
your heart,
though we
Patrick Weaver.
did I just remember our first carnival, um, it was the first carnival that, like, the UVM ski team had lost in,
Oh,
like, I don't know, 4 years or something, like or it was, like, this big, like, winning streak,
yeah.
and then we all came in as freshmen, and we're not so good, so we were like, "Oops, what have we done?" But, we got a little bit better from there, and I got a couple top 10s my freshman year, which really kept me going to want to achieve a little bit more success. So I started off like not so good, and then each year I found progression, which was really cool to like, kind of keep me going and keep the goals right. That's okay. Well, this year I'm gonna do this next thing, and I definitely had some good competition during intervals from the UVM team. So I was never like consistently the top person, which I really liked. I was first of all chasing you around, and then even after you had graduated, there were still like really strong athletes that I was able to chase around and have good training competition, which I think um, led me to always want more, which was good. And um, one thing that I still remember is doing double pull intervals. And during college, I went into school not being able to do a single pull up, and so I was really weak in my arms. And so obviously then double pull intervals weren't my thing. And so thankfully now I've gotten a lot better at double pulling, and I would say that that's one of my bigger strengths. Um, and so that's like an area that I was like, I even throughout my whole college career, I was never really that strong. So it was inspiring. It's inspiring for myself that I can get better at things that
Yeah.
I thought I wasn't so good at. But I also, yeah, you had suggested or you had mentioned I struggled with anemia, and so I got into like blood testing and everything when I was in college to figure out like I was just feeling tired all the time and what was going on. And yeah, I found that my iron was low, and it still like kind of fluctuates a little bit. I still haven't completely figured out even when I'm taking so many different iron supplements. It's just something that I've kind of learned to live with having a little bit lower iron, but that was a really important learning experience for me to realize, okay, sometimes I need to like there is something exterior going on, and it's good to take care of your body and figure out what's going on because that can help a lot. So I took I went through quite a bit of like studying of different iron supplements. I tried the liquid iron, different brands of supplements, taking it with vitamin C and not having calcium or dairy like around when I take iron. So that was like a big learning experience for me. And I was grateful that I had like some good doctors and supportive family to like work with me figuring out all of the different like medical things, especially when I was in Vermont and they were in Minnesota, like managing all of that. So um, that I kind of struggled with like the middle of my college career. And then towards my senior year, I was really amped, really excited to get after it because I was excited for a classic like distance 20K at NCAA's that I was like, I'm gonna crush that because I was getting really good at classic skiing then. And so we did the skate 5K of NCAA's, and right after that, the world shut down because of COVID, and we got sent home early, and I was never even able to do
Oh.
my classic distance 20K. So I'm still mad about that. Um, and yeah, when we got sent home, it was right after NCAA's, so I didn't really know what was going to happen. So I went back to Minnesota to hang out with my parents during the super quarantine part of COVID.
Yeah.
And I was also mad because I had a super awesome class schedule my senior spring of college. I only in class Mondays and Tuesdays. So I was about to have a really awesome 5-day weekend spring semester, and I missed out on it. So
Wow, that is
I
actually
can't forget
so
about
sad.
that.
That is really impressive. I remember
Oh,
my
yeah.
senior year, I was stoked because my senior spring, I finally didn't have an 8:30 class. Every other semester throughout college, I always had an 8:30 class. And then finally,
Oh,
my senior spring, my first class was at 9:45.
oh yeah, sleeping in.
But your 5-day weekend definitely beats that.
It would have been so awesome.
That would have
I
been
don't know.
amazing.
So
Um,
still mad about that.
yeah, that's fair. Well, you had a really incredible college career and it was fun to follow along. And I was super excited. I actually remember during that spring quarantine world shutdown, we went for a socially distant run around the Lake of the Isles in Minneapolis because we were both like back at our parents quarantining. And
Mhm.
we were socially distant. It's okay. But I remember that you were talking about like what do you want to do next? And we had talked a lot about pros and cons of professional ski racing and joining a different team and all sorts of different teams. And you made the decision that spring to join Craftsberry and you went back out to Vermont. You hadn't had enough of Vermont living. So you went back and joined the Craftsberry Green Racing Project team. And I guess I know that that first year was kind of weird because it was still sort of COVID-y. But what did it look like going from UVM to Craftsberry? What did that transition look like for you? And how did you start kind of incorporating yourself into that community?
Yeah, the joining Craftsberry was super awesome during COVID because even though we didn't really know what the winter would look like, we came and we all had to like, quarantine for 2 weeks before joining the team officially. And but then once we were like part of our little bubble that we had in Craftsberry, it had all the skiers, and then there's also an elite rowing program that's a part of the GRP in Craftsberry. And so there was a lot of young people, maybe it was like 20 to 30 people that were all in the same bubble, and we weren't allowed to leave or do anything. But when we were here training, it was really awesome because we had all of these people to hang out with, and a lot of the rest of the world was just in their like one house bubble that composed of maybe 5 people. So we
Mhm.
were able to like have some fun gatherings and stuff because we were all part of this like tight little bubble just training. And I learned a lot about training full time, joining an elite team. And I definitely, yeah, it was really awesome to work with Peppa, the coach here. She just kind of came in, and she always had the iPad out, and I was like, I just remember being like so mad that I couldn't ever like slack on my technique because she was always right there. I was like, come on, just let me like wobble around. But I'm really glad that she was right there because I kind of improved pretty quickly. So, I just that was all I remember from that first year, and I wasn't able to do any racing. The only racing was, like, just locally in Craftsbury. I did, like, 2 races that winter that were kinda, like, thrown together last minute.
Mhm.
But then the next year, the winter of 2021, 22, I was able to we went back to Super Tour racing, and I had a lot of fun there because, again, those people that I had, like, grown up skiing with then were elite racing, and I
Mhm.
even though some of them had joined other clubs and whatnot, and then I was able to see them at super tours. So I had a lot of fun with that and like finding that community that I really enjoy of skiing was super fun. And then from there, just been improving. And then a couple years ago, the biathletes here in Craftsbury were like, come join us for a little shooting session. And I was like, okay, I guess. Like, what else am I going to do in the afternoons? So I would go along to their afternoons shooting sessions, and it would just be like this whole big thing of me trying to hit a single target. And then, I started to hit some more of them and learn about biathlon a little bit more. And I was like, okay, like this seems kind of fun, but I was still doing super tour racing. And especially then people were starting to talk about the Minneapolis World Cup for cross country skiing. And so that was still like in the back of my mind that it's like, okay, I'm not going to transition to biathlon, but it's cool to try it. And then the transition to biathlon happened like kind of slowly, but it started off because there was the like international biathlon trials in Craftsbury one December, and I said, "Oh, I'll try it out because then I can say I've done a biathlon race. Like that'll be kind of cool." And one day I got pretty lucky with the shooting, and so I was able to qualify for one of the USA team trips for the IBU Cup, and that's the level below the World Cup in biathlon. And so I did that and had some fun with it, and then slowly did more and more biathlon racing, and then was able to also do the Minneapolis Cross Country World Cup because I was really going for that, wanted to do that hometown racing. And after that, then I've transitioned to biathlon full time now. And so that's been kind of how I've transitioned from starting skiing in Craftsbury to biathlon in Craftsbury.
Yeah. And it's been really cool to follow along. I feel like when you share that story, you I guess come across like you seem to blame a lot of it on luck, and I feel like that's not the case. You're like, "Oh, I just so happened to try shooting," and then like, "Oh, I just so ha I happened to shoot well that day and it worked out for me." But I think it wasn't all luck. I think that you also put in a ton of work into that. And so what did that look like to kind of step into this like new territory of like what is biathlon, like what is this new, I mean it's a different sport, like you, it overlaps with cross country skiing, but there, even I feel like the way the technique in how you're skiing is probably different because you're carrying a rifle on your back. And so how was it like switching over into this like biathlon uh frame of mind and kind of taking a chance on something that you had never really explored before?
Yeah, it was really honestly still is, like, kind of scary to be like, "Oh, I'm a biathlete now," because I feel like I have so much of a tie to the cross country skiing world, and, like, that's where, a lot of my, like, beginning ski friends are, and so joining this new community of biathlon was like, "Whoa, I don't know." Like, the people were different, the, like, skiing is different, everything is, like, a little bit different even though there is crossover, and for the longest time, I had, like, that kind of thinking in the back of my mind where it was like, "Oh, the biathletes are just, like, people who can't make it in cross country skiing." And so that I had a lot of that, like, stigma, that was keeping me from joining biathlon full time, and now that I have kind of transitioned full time, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this is different." Like, there's a lot of things that and especially, like, on the, like, World Cup level, all of the, like, international biathletes are just super, like, good athletes and really talented at everything they do. So it is not just for people who can't make it in cross country skiing. So now I've kind of been like, all right, I can try really hard at this and I can give it my full effort. And it's cool to learn this skill kind of from zero, the like shooting part of things, while still improving my skiing. And like you said, the technique is a little bit different just because we're carrying something on our back and it does jostle around a bit. And so there's like differences there, kind of keeping the body a little bit more like compact. And so there's a little bit less, what I would say, kind of flailing than in cross country, where it's just like go, go, go. And because there's not the sprinting side of things, the shortest race that I do is a 7.5K as a
Mhm.
biathlete. So it's a lot more L3 work than like the super, super fast twitch things. So I do kind of miss that side of it, and obviously the classic skiing, which I had said earlier. Um, but yeah, the learning a new skill from zero is pretty cool, and I've then brought that over into the rest of my life. That it's like, oh, I can learn something new and find joy in it, even if I'm not the best at it. And this year, I'm really putting a lot of effort into the shooting side of things,
Mhm.
and because I know how to train for biathlon a little bit more, I know what I need to do. I know how each practice can help me. And so I'm like really intentional when I do show up to practice with
Mhm.
the rifle. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put in some effort and give it my all.
Yeah.
So I've really enjoyed the part of biathlon where it's like, okay, I'm gonna try.
Okay, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try today, I promise.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, just because, like, skiing, I was it was just a way to hang out with my friends,
Yeah.
and so it's like, okay, I also am, like, doing the skiing thing, and that's kind of how the, like, biathlon started. It was like, "Oh, I can, like, hang out with my friends on the range,
Yeah.
like, my friends in Craftsbury, I can hang out with them," like, so that's kinda yeah, I feel like a lot of my skiing motivation has been because there's fun people.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, Margie, I know that you have to run. We have limited time together today, and I do have some quick rapid fire questions. Do you have time for those? I feel like
Yes, let's
I
do
have a
it.
million more questions about biathlon, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. So we're just going to turn some of them into more of a rapid fire scenario. So you
Speed
can
round.
use more than one word to respond to these questions, but it has to be very brief. Okay, so if there's a question that's
'Kay.
more open ended, you got to keep it tight. Okay. Maple creamy or cheese curds?
Maple creamy.
Nice. Okay. Skate or classic?
Classic.
Oh my gosh, even after all of that. Girl loves the classic ski. Okay. How much does a rifle weigh?
8 pounds.
Okay. Um, what is a typical biathlon roller ski workout that you do during the summertime that you wouldn't do like specific for cross country?
Uh, Shooting combos, starting with slow fire, so shooting without a heart rate and without skiing, and then working into like small laps of skiing and then going in to shoot and practicing the whole process.
And you're like going harder and
That's a
harder
lot
as
of
you
words.
go, kind of.
Yes.
Okay, nice. What is it like to travel all over the world with a rifle?
A lot of paperwork and getting to the airport 4 hours early.
Oh God. Okay. And what is your favorite stop on the biathlon, or what's the favorite place that you've visited all over the world because of biathlon specific?
I feel like I should say the places with big mountains, but I really liked, Bled,
Oh,
Slovenia, or Pokluka. We raced in, like, Pokluka, and it was just beautiful forest, and then the town of Bled was beautiful lake and island with a castle.
yeah. Cool. That's fun. Can you share a small or big goal that you've set for yourself for the season?
I want to have a season that I can be proud of this year, and a small goal is cleaning a race where I hit
Cool.
all the targets.
Okay. And how many times do you have to hit targets in a race?
There's either 2 to 4 shooting stages, and at each shooting stage, there are 5 targets,
Mhm.
and there's at least 1 prone where it's laying down on the mat and 1 standing stage.
Okay, I feel like we need to create a tutorial for what is biathlon, but we will get to that
What
later. Maybe another time.
Maybe the fans will love my podcast enough and be wanting way more.
Yes, we'll do more. Okay, last question. If you were to tell someone who's thinking about trying something new that they've never really tried before, but they're gonna kind of go all in on it, what would you tell them?
Find ways to make it fun and people to do it with.
Okay, that's lovely. Margie Freed, thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. It's been super fun to chat about your ski racing, growing up together, both Midwest girlies, going to UVM, and how you
Go
have
Cats.
transitioned to the biathlon world. I think that it takes a lot more than luck to get there, and so I applaud you and all of the hard work that you have put into it. And I am cheering for you this summer, this fall, and into the winter. And I'm excited to see what comes next for Margie Freed in the biathlon world.
Yay! Thanks for having me on. I love all of your different episodes, so be a part of the strong crew you have.
Yay.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Extra Blue, powered by Gear West. I have always loved bringing these episodes to you, but I have often struggled to find the time to dedicate to the show to the degree that I would like. Now, with the support of Gear West, I am happy to share with you that these episodes will be back every other week with guests from all across the ski community. We have got an exciting lineup of guests coming to you soon, but if you ever have a request or question you'd like to hear about on the show, you can send me a direct message on Instagram at extrablue_podcast. You can also follow along from the Gear West social media pages on Facebook or Instagram at Gear West. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, you can now watch these episodes on YouTube at Gear West's YouTube channel at Gear West. Thank you again for being here for this episode of Extra Blue, and I will see you in 2 weeks.